What if the peace you are searching for is not found by adding anything, but by letting something go? What if the quiet mind you seek is not a fortress to be built, but a clearing that appears when a long and exhausting battle is finally over? For most of us, the mind is not a sanctuary. It is a battlefield. There is a silent, relentless war being waged inside the skull. A struggle so constant that it has become the background noise of our lives. As unnoticed and pervasive as the air we breathe, it is a war against ourselves. The combatants are our own thoughts, and the one fighting them is also us. A thought of fear arises, and a part of us rises to fight it, to argue with it, to suppress it. A memory of regret surfaces, and we deploy battalions of distraction to push it back down into the shadows. A worry about the future launches a preemptive strike on our present moment, and we engage it in a desperate, frantic struggle for control. We are both the army and the territory it seeks to conquer, and in this civil war of the self, there can be no victory, only attrition. The only casualty is our own peace. A person caught in this war believes that peace is a prize to be won on the other side of conflict. If I can just defeat this anxiety, the mind tells itself, then I will be calm. If I can just silence this inner critic, then I will be happy. If I can just solve this looping worry, then I will be able to rest. And so, the fight continues. But this war is based on a profound misunderstanding. It operates on a strange and inverted logic, a rule of engagement unique to the psyche. That which you resist persists. The very act of fighting a thought gives it power. It is the pressure of your resistance that makes a fleeting, insubstantial thought feel solid and real. It is like trying to drown a piece of cork in water. The more forcefully you push it down, the more violently it erupts back to the surface. Your struggle against the thought is the very thing that nourishes it, that gives it weight and importance. The thought of anxiety, when ignored, is a passing cloud. But the thought of anxiety that is fought becomes a raging storm, fed by the energy of your own battle against it. Perhaps you know this battlefield intimately. Perhaps, even now, as you seek rest, you can feel the low hum of this ongoing conflict. You try to relax, and a thought arises. Am I relaxing correctly? And so, you begin to fight the thought about not relaxing, which makes you even more tense. You lie in bed, seeking sleep, and a worry from the day appears. You push it away, demanding silence, and in doing so, you have become more awake and more engaged with it than ever. This is the tragic paradox of the inner war. Your struggle for peace is the very thing that destroys it. This journey we are embarking on is a journey to a different kind of peace. It is not the peace of a victorious general standing over his defeated enemy. It is the peace of a soldier who recognizes the futility of the war, lays down his weapons, and simply walks off the battlefield. It is the peace that comes from a radical act of surrender. We are going to explore what happens when you finally stop fighting, not through weakness, but through a profound, quiet wisdom. We will learn the art of letting go of the struggle itself, and in doing so, discover the quiet mind that was always there, waiting patiently beneath the noise of a war that never needed to be fought. So, find your comfortable space, let the outer world fade, and allow this journey to begin. To understand why the war against our thoughts is so unwinnable, we must first look closely at the nature of the thing we are fighting. We imagine our thoughts to be solid opponents, real entities that occupy space in our minds. But a Zen master might say that fighting a thought is like trying to bottle the wind. A story told of a man who lived in a high mountain valley. The wind in this valley was a constant presence. It whispered through the pines, howled across the high ridges, and danced on the surface of the lake. At first, the man loved the wind. He felt its energy and its freedom. But over time, his love turned to obsession. He was bewildered by its power and its complete intangibility. He decided that he must possess it. He must capture it, study it, and make it his own. And so his quest began. He wove nets of the finest silk, hoping to ensnare a gust as it passed. The wind simply blew through them. He ran through the fields with a wide-mouthed clay jar, trying to scoop the air, but the jar was always just filled with more air. Finally, he devised an elaborate contraption of funnels and tubes leading to a small glass bottle. During a great storm, he stood for hours, his machine rattling and groaning, until a single powerful gust was channeled down the funnel. With trembling hands, he slammed a cork into the bottle. He had done it. He held the bottle up to the light, a triumphant gleam in his eye, ready to inspect his prize. But the bottle was clear. It was empty. The only thing inside was still stagnant air. The wind, his great obsession, was still outside, rustling the leaves and moving across his face, as free as it had ever been. He had only succeeded in trapping nothing. This man is the human mind. The wind is the true nature of a thought. A thought is not a solid object. It is not a thing you can catch, hold, or analyze. A thought is a process. It is a fleeting event, an ephemeral flicker of energy in the vast space of consciousness. It has no substance, no weight, no independent reality. Like the wind, its entire existence is defined by its movement, its arising in the mind, and its natural tendency to pass away. Your anxiety is the wind. Your regret is the wind. Your self-criticism, your catastrophic worries, your endless planning, they are all gusts of varying intensity, blowing through the valley of your mind. And what do? We become the man with a bottle. When a painful memory arises, we try to suppress it, to cork it up and shove it into a dark corner of the mind, believing we have contained it. When a worry about the future appears, we chase it with our analytical mind, trying to capture it in the jar of rumination so we can dissect it and solve it. We treat these passing mental events as if they were solid enemies to be trapped or problems to be solved. But the struggle itself is the trap. The energy you expend trying to bottle the wind is the very source of your exhaustion. The pressure you create by trying to suppress a thought is what makes it feel so powerful and explosive. The thought itself was just a breeze, but your resistance to it creates a hurricane. The wisdom of the parable is found in the man's potential discovery. He cannot own the wind, but he can learn to live with it. He can stop running with his jars and nets, and instead simply sit on his porch. He can feel the wind on his skin. He can listen to the sound it makes in the trees. He can watch how it shapes the clouds. He can develop a relationship with it based on awareness, not conflict. This is the art of letting go. It is the beginning of peace, It is the profound shift from trying to control your thoughts to simply noticing them. It is the realization that you do not have to engage every gust that blows through your mind. You can feel a chill of fear pass over you and just notice it. Fear is here, without believing you must capture it or fight it. You can allow the winds of your mind to blow, knowing that you are not the wind. You are the valley itself, vast, open, and fundamentally untouched by the weather that passes through. If our thoughts are as formless and uncontrollable as the wind, then we must ask the next question. Who is the one standing in the valley, running frantically with a bottle? Who is this part of us that believes it is both possible and necessary to capture the uncapturable? To answer this, we must meet the architect of the inner war, the ghost in the machine. Within the human mind, there resides a sense of a separate self, a feeling of I. It is the narrator of our lives, the one we believe is sitting just behind our eyes, looking out at the world. It is the one who says, I think, I feel, I want. This constructed identity, this persistent sense of a central commander in the headquarters of the skull, is the ego. It is not a solid entity, but a pattern. It is a story we have been telling ourselves since we were children. A story woven from memories, beliefs, fears, and the continuous stream of thoughts it claims as its own. The ego's primary objective is its own survival. And to survive, it must maintain the illusion that it is solid, separate, and in control. Its greatest fear is dissolution, the discovery that it is not a permanent entity, but a temporary process. Therefore, the ego must stay busy. It must constantly reinforce its own existence by thinking, judging, wanting, resisting, and, above all, fighting. The inner war against thoughts is not a nuisance to the ego. It is its favorite pastime. It is its reason for being. In this war, the ego gets to play all the best roles. It is the noble warrior, bravely fighting off the demons of negativity. It is the wise strategist, endlessly planning for future battles. It is the long-suffering victim, lamenting how difficult and unruly its own thoughts are. The conflict gives the ego a purpose, a drama, a solid identity as the one who struggles with their mind. Peace, to the ego, looks like unemployment. Silence looks like annihilation. And so, it encourages the fight, because in the heat of battle, the ego feels most real, most necessary, most alive. This is the ghost in the machine of your being. It is the voice in your head that you have come to believe is you. It is the part that takes your thoughts so personally. When a thought of fear arises, the ego says, I am afraid. When a thought of failure appears, the ego says, I am a failure. It identifies with the passing weather of the mind and believes it is the weather. This identification is the root of the struggle. When you believe you are your thoughts, of course you must fight the ones you do not like. It feels like a matter of life and death, but the great liberation, the central secret of the spiritual path, is the realization that you are not this ghost. You are not the frantic, controlling narrator. That voice is a phenomenon appearing within you, but is not the totality of you. Your true nature is the vast, silent awareness that is effortlessly aware of the voice. You are not the character in the story. You are the page on which the story is written. You are not the worried thought. You are the silence that hears the thought. Seeing this is not an act of aggression. The goal is not to kill the ego. that would just be starting another war, giving the ego the very conflict it thrives on. The goal is simply to see it clearly, to recognize its patterns with a gentle, and perhaps even amused, detachment. When the inner voice commands, "You must worry about this," or "You must get rid of that feeling," you can learn to see it for what it is, the ghost trying to justify its own job. You can smile at its antics. You can hear its urgent commands without feeling compelled to obey. By seeing the fighter, you begin to disarm it. By understanding its insecure nature, you stop taking its alarm so seriously. You are shifting your allegiance from the frantic ghost in the machine to the calm, spacious awareness that is your true home. You are no longer a soldier taking orders. You are becoming the wise ruler of the kingdom, who understands that peace is not won through war, but through wisdom, to see the ego for what it is, a frantic ghost, a storyteller, is the first step. But this seeing must not come from the ego itself, for that would just be one thought judging another. The seeing must come from a different place entirely, a place of vast, silent, and unchanging stillness. To access this place, the great sages have long used a simple, profound metaphor: the sky and the clouds. Consider the sky. Its nature is to be open, boundless, and clear. It is the space in which everything happens. Now, consider the clouds. They are born from seemingly nothing, coalesce into shapes, drift across the sky, and dissolve again. Some are thin and wispy, barely there. Others are dark and heavy, full of thunder and rain. On some days, the sky is filled with clouds. On others, it is perfectly clear. But through all of this, what is the one constant? The sky itself. The sky is never harmed by the storm. It is never stained by the darkest cloud. The clouds are temporary events that happen in the sky, but they are not the sky. The sky's nature, its fundamental being, remains untouched, regardless of the weather. This sky is your true nature. It is the spacious, silent awareness that is here right now, effortlessly perceiving these words, the feeling of your body, the sounds in the room. This awareness is your fundamental consciousness, and your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your sensations, these are the clouds. They are the temporary weather patterns of your mind. They arise, they take a form, and, if left alone, they naturally pass away. The entire human struggle, the war inside the skull, is born from a single case of mistaken identity. The ego, the ghost in the machine, has spent a lifetime convincing you that you are the clouds. When a dark cloud of anger drifts into your awareness, the ego points and says, "I am angry." When a heavy, grey sheet of sadness hangs in your mind, the ego narrative is, "I am a sad person." When a turbulent storm of anxiety rages, the ego identifies completely and declares, "I am an anxious person." We mistake the passing weather for our permanent self, and because we believe we are the storm, we feel tossed about, battered, and at the mercy of its winds. The art of letting go begins with a gentle but radical shift in perspective. It is the practice of ceasing to identify with the clouds and learning to rest as the sky. It is to realize that you are not the anger. You are the space in which the anger is happening. You are not the anxiety. You are the silent awareness that notices the feeling of anxiety. This is the great pivot from being a participant in the storm to being the calm, spacious witness of the storm. You can begin this practice in this very moment. Let your awareness become vast, like the sky, and simply notice what clouds are present. Perhaps there is a thought about something you have to do tomorrow. See it not as a command or a problem to be solved, but as a small white cloud drifting by. Do not fight it. Do not analyze it. Simply notice it and allow it the space to be. Perhaps there is a feeling of tension in your shoulders. See this sensation as another cloud, a different texture and color. You are the sky, allowing this cloud of sensation to float within you. The sky does not have an opinion about the clouds. It does not prefer the sunny days and hate the rainy ones. It allows all weather to be what it is. In the same way, you can begin to cultivate this sky-like mind. You can let go of judging your thoughts as good or bad. A thought is just a thought. An emotion is just an emotion. You can let them be, without the second arrow of judgment, without starting the war. As you practice resting as the sky, you will notice something profound. The clouds begin to lose their power over you. The storm of anxiety may still pass through, but because you are no longer identifying with it, you are not swept away by it. You remain as the vast, peaceful sky, witnessing the weather, knowing that it too shall pass. The war ends, not because you have defeated the clouds, but because you have remembered that you are, and always have been, the sky. To rest as the sky is to discover a peace that is already present. Yet, the mind's habit is strong. It is easy to get pulled back into the storm, to forget our sky-like nature, and once again believe we are the fleeting cloud. What is the mechanism that causes this fall from grace? The Stoic philosophers of ancient Rome located it with pinpoint precision. It is not our thoughts that disturb us. They taught, but our judgment about our thoughts. Imagine your mind is a quiet, spacious room. There is a single door to this room, which swings freely open and closed. This door is your attention. From time to time, visitors appear at the threshold. These visitors are your thoughts. Some visitors are pleasant and friendly, a happy memory, a creative idea. Others look unsettling. A visitor named Fear of the Future appears, its face contorted with worry. Another named Regret for the Past shows up, carrying heavy bags. The untrained mind panics when these unsettling visitors appear. As soon as fear shows its face at the door, the owner of the room leaps up, rushes to the door, and tries to slam it shut. A desperate wrestling match ensues at the threshold. The owner pushes with all their might, straining to keep the visitor out. But the visitor is persistent, and the owner spends all their energy in this exhausting struggle, their heart pounding, their entire being consumed by the fight at the door. This is the inner war, but the master of the room does something different. The master sits peacefully in the center of the room, perhaps meditating or simply resting. The same unsettling visitor, Fear of the Future, appears at the open doorway. The master looks up, sees the visitor clearly, acknowledges its presence with a calm, neutral gaze, and then returns their attention to the stillness of the room. The master does not rush to the door. They do not fight. They do not argue. They do not even believe the visitor has any real power. The visitor, having received no energy, no resistance, and no engagement, has nothing to push against. It lingers at the threshold for a moment, finds itself ignored, and, having no purpose, it simply wanders away. The master knows a profound secret. The visitors cannot truly enter the room and cause havoc unless they are invited in. And what is the invitation? It is our judgment. It is our opinion. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus stated it plainly. People are not disturbed by things, but by the views which they take of them. A thought is just a thing, a visitor at the door. The view we take of it, this is dangerous, this is bad, this must be stopped, is what disturbs us. The thought, what if I fail, is just a visitor. It is neutral. It has no inherent power. It is the second thought, the judgment. Failing would be catastrophic. It would prove I am worthless. That is the invitation. It is this second thought that flings the door open, ushers the visitor inside, serves it tea, and allows it to rearrange all the furniture in the room. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are fighting your opinion about your thoughts. You are not disturbed by anxiety. You are disturbed by your belief that anxiety is an intolerable state that must be vanquished. The practice, then, is to become the master of the unlocked door. It is to learn to separate the visitor from your opinion about the visitor. When a thought appears, you simply note its appearance. A thought of worry has arrived. You see it, but you do not have to believe it. You do not have to serve it. You do not have to fight it. You simply let it stand at the threshold of your mind until it dissolves from lack of attention. This is not suppression. Suppression is the violent act of trying to bolt the door. This is a calm, dignified non-engagement. It is the reclaiming of your sovereignty. You realize that you have the ultimate power to choose which thoughts you invest with your belief and energy. Peace of mind does not come from having only pleasant visitors. It comes from realizing that no visitor can harm you, that you are the master of the room, and your inner sanctuary can remain untouched, no matter who or what appears at the door. To become the master of the unlocked door, to rest as the sky, is to learn a new skill. But it is a skill unlike any other, for it is learned not through effort, but through the absence of it. In a world that worships action, achievement, and constant improvement, the most radical and healing path is often found in the lost art of doing nothing. There is a classic story of a young, zealous monk who arrives at a Zen monastery. He is determined to attain enlightenment, and he believes it is a goal to be achieved through immense effort. He approaches the old master and asks, "Master, what must I do to find peace? Should I meditate for 12 hours a day? Should I recite 10,000 mantras? Should I fast for weeks? Tell me the secret, and I will do it." The old master, who was quietly sweeping the temple steps, paused and looked at the young man. He said nothing. He simply continued sweeping, each movement deliberate and calm. The young monk, confused, asked again, "Master, please, I will do anything. What is the supreme action I must take?" The master stopped sweeping, looked at the fallen leaves, and then at the young monk, and said softly, "There is nothing to do." This baffling response contains the very heart of Zen wisdom. The young monk, like all of us, was trapped in the paradigm of doing. He believed peace was a result to be produced, a prize to be won through striving. The master was pointing to a different truth, that the peace he sought was already present, obscured only by his own frantic efforts to achieve it. The doing was the problem. This is the principle behind the Zen practice of shikantaza, which translates simply as just sitting. It is a meditation with no goal. There is no focus on the breath, no mantra to repeat, no state to attain. The instruction is simply to sit with upright posture and allow everything to be exactly as it is. It is the practice of letting go of the doer itself, the part of us that is always trying to fix, manage, improve, or control our experience. When a thought arises, you just let it arise. When a sound is heard, you just let it be heard. You do not try to quiet your mind. The attempt to quiet the mind is just more doing, more fighting. You do not try to achieve a state of bliss. The desire for bliss is just more striving. You simply sit. You do nothing. And in this radical act of non-doing, something miraculous occurs. The mind, which has been prodded, pushed, and commanded its entire life, is finally left alone, like a jar of muddy water. When it is left completely still, the sediment naturally settles, and clarity emerges of its own accord. This is the art you can practice right now. As you lie here, there is a part of you, the ego, that is trying to get to sleep. It is treating sleep as a goal, a task to be accomplished. And this very effort, this subtle striving, is what creates the tension that keeps you awake. It is the same energy as the man trying to bottle the wind. So the invitation is to let go of the deepest doing of all, the attempt to control your own state of being. Let go of trying to relax. Let go of trying to fall asleep. Give up the entire project. For these next few moments, embrace the art of doing nothing. Do not try to change your thoughts. Do not try to soften your body. Simply be. Be the witness to it all. Feel the simple weight of your body against the surface beneath you. Notice the subtle rhythm of your breath, happening all by itself, without any doer needed. When you truly do nothing, you are stepping out of the ego's game entirely. The fighter has laid down his arms. The master has left the door to the room wide open and is resting in the center. In this state of profound surrender, the nervous system receives a powerful message. There is no threat. There is no problem to solve. There is nothing to do. And it is in this space of unconditional permission, this vast and gentle field of non-action, that true rest finds you. The quiet mind is not something you achieve. It is what reveals itself when the achiever finally takes a rest. In the space of non-doing, where the striving has ceased, the mind begins to reveal its deeper secrets. We have been so focused on the noise of our thinking, the endless drama of the war, that we have failed to notice the very medium in which it all takes place. To understand this medium is to find the source of all peace. There is a story of a brilliant young musician who could play his instrument with breathtaking speed and technical perfection. He sought out the greatest music master in the land, hoping to be taken on as a student. He played for the master, his fingers flying across the strings, producing a cascade of complex and dazzling notes. When he finished, breathless, he looked to the master for approval. The old master was silent for a long time, and then said, "You have mastered the notes, but your music has no heart. It is all noise." The young man was devastated. "Then teach me the secret," he pleaded. The master replied, "The secret is not in the notes. It is in the silence between them. That is where the music truly lives. This is the secret of the quiet mind. Our thoughts are the notes. The ego, the inner musician, is obsessed with them. It plays them constantly, fast, slow, loud, soft. It analyzes them, arranges them, repeats them, judges them. We are so mesmerized by this endless performance, this internal noise, that we miss the most important part, the silence from which the notes arise and to which they return. This silence is the Zen concept of sunyata, or emptiness. It is not the dead, empty void that the ego fears. It is a vibrant, creative, and living silence. It is the silent, empty page that allows the words of a poem to have meaning. It is the empty space in a house that makes it a home. It is the background of pure, untroubled awareness that is your true nature. This silence is always here. It was here before your first thought this morning, and it will be here after your last thought tonight. It is the canvas, and the thoughts are just temporary specks of paint. We have been staring at the specks of paint for so long that we have forgotten we are the vast, clean canvas itself. The art of finding a quiet mind is not about trying to stop the notes. That is impossible, and the attempt only creates more noise. The art is to shift your attention. It is to begin listening for the silence between the notes. You can do this now. Let your mind be as it is. Let the musician play his tune. But instead of leaning in to listen to the melody of your thoughts, lean back. Listen for the space. Can you notice the tiny gap of silence between the end of one thought and the beginning of the next? It may be a fraction of a second, but it is there. That is the space of peace. That is your home base. Do not be discouraged if the thoughts seem to be a continuous, unbroken stream. The simple act of listening for the silence, of looking for the gap, is the practice. The more you value the silence, the more you will begin to notice it. It is like being in a noisy room and suddenly noticing the quiet hum of the air conditioner that was there all along. The noise has not stopped, but your attention has found the stillness that underlies it. This silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of a presence, an intelligence, a deep and abiding peace that needs nothing to complete it. All the things you are fighting to achieve, calmness, clarity, rest, are the natural qualities of this silence. They were never a future goal to be won. They were a present reality to be discovered by shifting your attention from the notes to the silence, from the thoughts to the awareness that holds them. You are performing the ultimate act of letting go. You are letting go of the fascination with your own drama. You are letting the frantic musician finally rest, and you are falling back into the vast, silent, peaceful embrace of your own true nature. This is the music the great masters speak of. It is the sound of a mind that has come home to itself. To discover the silence between our thoughts is to find the mind's home ground. But what happens when the mind does not whisper, but roars? What do we do when our thoughts are not just passing clouds, but a stampeding herd of wild horses, thundering through the landscape of our awareness, threatening to trample everything in their path? Here, we can turn to the wisdom of the ancient Taoist sages, who understood the art of taming not through force, but through space. A story is told of a magnificent, wild horse, so spirited and powerful that no one could tame it. Trainers came from all the surrounding lands. They used ropes and whips, shouting commands and trying to force the horse's will into submission. But the more they fought the horse, the wilder it became, kicking and fighting for its freedom. They tried to break its spirit by locking it in a small, tight pen, but it only crashed against the fences, injuring itself in its desperate attempt to escape. The horse remained untamed, and the trainers declared it impossible. Finally, a wise old master, known for her gentle ways, was asked to try. She did not arrive with a whip or a rope. She simply led the horse to a new enclosure. But it was not a small pen. It was a vast, beautiful pasture of rolling green hills, surrounded by a fence so strong and distant the horse could barely see it. She opened the gate, removed the halter, and let the horse go. For the first few days, the horse ran like a mad thing. It galloped from one end of the pasture to the other, releasing all its pent-up fear and energy, testing the limits of its new freedom. The old master did not interfere. She did not chase it or call out to it. She simply sat quietly by the gate, day after day, mending a saddle or weaving a basket, her presence completely calm and non-threatening. Slowly, over time, the horse's frantic energy subsided. It realized the space was safe, that it would not be chased or harmed. Its running turned to grazing. Its wild panic turned to calm curiosity. It began to notice the quiet, peaceful presence of the old woman by the gate. One day, of its own free will, the horse walked over and gently nudged her hand. It was tamed not by breaking its will, but by giving it the space to find its own calm. This wild horse is your mind in a state of agitation, in the grip of anxiety, a spiral of worry, or a fit of insomnia. Our instinct, when faced with this wild energy, is to become the forceful trainer. We grab the mental reins and pull back with all our might. We shout, "Stop thinking about that." We try to corral the thought into a tiny pen of suppression. And just like the horse, the mind rebels. The more we fight it, the more agitated and powerful it becomes. The wisdom of the Tao, the practice of Wu Wei or effortless action, offers a different way. It teaches us to become the wise master. The vast pasture is the spacious, sky-like awareness you have already discovered. When your thoughts are stampeding, the practice is not to fight them, but to consciously give them space. Instead of tightening the reins, you open the gate to an even bigger field. You can do this now. If you notice a train of worried thoughts beginning to race, instead of bracing against it, try this. Mentally take a step back and say to them, "You have permission to be here." This awareness is a wide enough pasture for you to run in. You are not agreeing with the thoughts. You are not believing them. You are simply dropping the rope. You are taking away the one thing the rebellious energy needs to survive. Your resistance, a thought that is given the space to exist, loses its frantic need to be heard. An anxiety that is allowed to be present, without judgment, will naturally expend its own energy and settle down. You are not ignoring it, nor are you fighting it. You are holding it within a vast, compassionate container of awareness. You are treating your own mind with kindness, not violence. You are ceasing to be the brutal trainer of your own spirit and becoming the wise, patient master who knows that all wild things when given enough space and safety, will eventually find their way home to peace. We have learned to see our thoughts as passing clouds, to hold them in a vast pasture of awareness. But now, we must ask the final, most profound question. Who is the sky? Who is the master watching the horse? To answer this, we must be willing to investigate the nature of the watcher itself through the ultimate metaphor for the mind, the dream. Imagine you are in the middle of a vivid dream, a nightmare. You are being chased down a dark, endless corridor by a fearsome shadow. Your heart is pounding. Your legs feel heavy. The fear is completely, utterly real. Within the logic of the dream, your life is at stake. Your entire identity is that of the one being chased, and your entire reality is consumed by the desperate struggle to escape. The shadow is real. The danger is real. Your fear is real. There is no question. And then, you wake up. In an instant, the terror dissolves. Your heart rate slows. You are safe in your bed. A profound wave of relief washes over you. What happened? The corridor has vanished. The shadow was revealed to be an illusion. And most importantly, the you who was being chased, the terrified protagonist of the dream, was also part of the illusion. It was a dream character. Your true self, the dreamer, was never in danger. It was resting peacefully the entire time, projecting the entire drama onto the screen of the mind. The great wisdom traditions, particularly Buddhism, suggest that our ordinary waking consciousness is very similar to this. It is a kind of dream. It is the dream of the separate self, the ego, the constant stream of thoughts, feelings, and sensations of the scenery, the plot, and the other characters of this dream. And the ego, the I who thinks and feels, is the main character. The ultimate teaching of anatta, or no self, is the key to awakening from this dream. It does not mean that you cease to exist. It means that you are not the character you are playing. The I that worries, the I that gets angry, the I that feels anxious and fights its thoughts, that I is the dream character. Your true nature is the dreamer. Your true nature is the silent, expansive consciousness that is aware of the entire dream of thought, but is not defined by it. For your entire life, you have been completely identified with the main character in your dream. You have believed its struggles were your own. When the character felt fear, you believed, I am afraid. When the character had a thought of failure, you believed, I am a failure. You have been lost in the movie, forgetting that you are the one sitting safely in the theater. To awaken is not necessarily to stop the dream. It is to become lucid within it. It is to be in the midst of the dream's events, but to suddenly realize, this is a dream. In that moment of lucidity, the dream's power over you is broken. The shadow may still be there, but you are no longer afraid because you know it is not real. This is the ultimate practice of letting go. When a powerful thought or emotion arises, you can gently inquire, who is this I that is experiencing this? Is this my true fundamental self? Or is it the dream character playing its role again? This simple, gentle question is an act of lucidity. It creates a space between the dreamer and the dream. You are not fighting the thought. You are questioning the reality of the thinker. This is the end of the war, because you realize the soldier you have been playing is a phantom. You are letting go of the character and all of its dramas and choosing to rest as the dreamer. You realize that no matter how turbulent the dream of your mind may become, you, the dreamer, the silent awareness, are always and already safe. You are always and already whole. The peace you seek is not a prize to be won within the dream. It is the simple, profound relief of waking up. When the dreamer awakens, when the false self that fights and fears is seen for the illusion it is, what remains? The ego imagines that without its constant management, the mind would descend into chaos. But the truth is precisely the opposite. When the frantic warrior leaves the battlefield, a deep and natural harmony begins to emerge. It is like a garden that finally learns to grow itself. Imagine a gardener who is consumed by fear. He is convinced that his garden is under constant threat from weeds, pests, and drought. He spends every waking hour in a state of anxious control. He rips out any plant he does not recognize, suspecting it is a weed. He sprays harsh chemicals to kill any insect, good or bad. He follows a rigid watering schedule, ignoring the signs of the soil itself, trusting his plan more than the earth. His garden is orderly, but it is sterile. It is a testament to his effort, but it has no life, no wild beauty, no soul. It is a garden born of struggle. Now, imagine this gardener, through wisdom and exhaustion, finally lets go. He puts down his tools. He stops pulling and spraying and forcing. He simply sits in a chair at the edge of the garden and trusts. He decides to watch, to allow, to do nothing. At first, things seem to get wild. Weeds he had fought for years sprout up. But then he notices that some of these weeds are actually wildflowers, attracting bees and butterflies that begin to pollinate his fruit trees. He notices that without the harsh chemicals, birds return to the garden and they begin to eat the very pests he was fighting. He sees that the soil, no longer being constantly trampled and manipulated, becomes richer and holds moisture better. The garden, left to its own devices, begins to create a complex, intelligent, self-regulating ecosystem. It becomes more vibrant, more resilient, and more beautiful than anything his anxious efforts could have ever produced. Your mind is this garden. The anxious gardener is the ego. For years, it has been fighting your thoughts, trying to control your feelings, and forcing solutions. It has operated from a deep distrust of the mind's own nature. The practice of letting go is the act of this gardener finally taking a rest. When you cease the inner war and rest in the silent, open space of awareness, you are not abandoning your mind to chaos. You are allowing its own profound, natural intelligence to emerge. This is the wisdom of Ziran, of spontaneity, of things happening by themselves. Your mind knows how to heal. Your heart knows how to love. Your intuition knows the way through your problems. For so long, their quiet voices have been drowned out by the shouting and the clatter of the ego's endless battle. In the quiet that follows the fight, you will begin to hear them. Solutions to problems you have wrestled with for years may appear suddenly, not as the result of forced thinking, but as a gentle, spontaneous insight. You will find a new clarity. Without the constant fog of war, the anxiety, the self-doubt, the rumination, you can see your life and your choices with a simple, uncluttered vision. creativity will flow more easily, because the inner critic, the ego's primary general, has been disarmed. Most profoundly, you will find a natural wellspring of compassion. When you are no longer at war with yourself, you cease to be at war with the world. You see other people not through the filter of your ego's needs and fears, but as they are, fellow beings in their own gardens, with their own struggles. These qualities, clarity, intuition, compassion, are not things you must add to yourself. They are not the rewards for winning the war. They are the wildflowers that were always waiting to grow in your garden, waiting for the anxious gardener to finally trust the soil. Letting go of the fight is not an emptying, but a great flourishing of your wisest, most authentic self. The garden of the mind, when left to its own intelligence, blossoms with a wisdom that is not forced. But this garden is not a static paradise, forever shielded from the changing seasons. Life will continue to happen. The winds of change will blow, and unexpected things will fall into this sacred space. The final art of letting go is not about preventing this, but about learning how to receive whatever comes with the grace and power of a great river. Imagine a river on its long journey to the ocean. Its nature is to flow and to accept everything that enters its current. In the spring, beautiful cherry blossoms fall from the trees and float upon its surface. The river accepts them, carries them for a while, and lets them go. In the autumn, dry, brittle leaves fall into the water. The river accepts these too, carrying them without preference. A smooth, beautiful stone on the riverbed is rolled along by the current. A sharp, jagged rock tumbles in from a cliffside. It too is accepted and carried along, its sharp edges slowly smoothed by the ceaseless flow of the water. The river does not judge what it carries. It does not cling to the beautiful blossoms, trying to hold them back from their journey. It does not fight the ugly branch, trying to push it to the shore. To do so would be to create a blockage, a dam. It would be to cease being a river. The river's great power, its peace, lies in its capacity to receive everything, to hold everything lightly, and to let everything go. Its very essence is a continuous, moving acceptance. For years, the mind has operated in the opposite way. The ego is a frantic dam builder. When a pleasant thought or feeling appears, a blossom of joy, the ego tries to grab it, to hold on to it, terrified of it floating away. When a difficult thought or a painful emotion appears, a jagged rock of fear, the ego braces against it, resists it, and tries with all its might to stop it from entering the stream. This constant activity of judging, clinging, and resisting is the inner war. It is the source of all stagnation and suffering. To let go is to become the river. Your spacious, silent awareness is the water. The thoughts, feelings, and sensations that arise are the leaves, blossoms, and rocks. A mind at peace is not a mind that is empty of all rocks. It is a mind that has become such a powerful, flowing river that any rock, no matter how sharp, can be carried along without disturbing the fundamental current. This is the practice of equanimity. It is the end of the war of preference. What do you do when, in a moment of calm, a sudden spike of anxiety appears? The old habit of the dam builder is to panic, to see this rock as a threat to the peace, and to immediately begin fighting it. The wisdom of the river is different. You feel the sharp sensation of anxiety within the current of your awareness. You do not fight it. You do not judge it. You do not even need it to go away. You simply acknowledge its presence. Ah, the rock of anxiety is here, and you keep flowing. You trust that the power of your awareness, your conscious presence, is infinitely greater than any single thought or feeling. You allow the river to do its work, to hold the rock, to smooth its edges, and to carry it downstream in its own time. This is what makes your peace unshakable. It is no longer a fragile peace that depends on having only pleasant thoughts and feelings. It is a deep, resilient peace, rooted in the understanding that your true self is the river, not the objects floating in it. You can be at peace even while a feeling of sadness is present. You can be calm even while a thought of worry floats by. You are the container, vast and flowing, and you are larger than anything you contain. So feel this now. Feel the great river of your own being. It is flowing, carrying everything effortlessly. The warmth in your hands, the sound in the distance, the memory from yesterday. They are all just blossoms and leaves in the current. There is no need to fight, no need to hold on. All you have to do is let the river flow. We began this journey on a battlefield, a war waged against the ephemeral wind, commanded by a phantom general. We have learned to rest as the sky, to become the master of the unlocked door. We have practiced the art of doing nothing, listened for the silence between the notes, given the wild horses of the mind a vast pasture to roam in, and awakened from the dream of the self. We have learned to trust the garden of our mind to grow itself, and to flow like a great river that carries everything to the sea. And now, we arrive at the final letting go. It is the simplest and yet the most profound. All of the struggle, all of the fighting, all of the war inside the skull can be traced back to a single subtle activity of the mind, having an opinion. The entire war begins with an opinion. A thought appears, and the mind immediately forms an opinion about it. This is a bad thought. A feeling arises, and the mind judges it. This feeling is wrong. It shouldn't be here. You lie down to rest, and the mind has an opinion. My mind should be quieter than this. It is this layer of judgment, this constant, subtle commentary of good and bad, right and wrong, should and should not, that fuels the entire conflict. The fight was never with your thoughts themselves. It was with your opinion about your thoughts, the ultimate peace. The quiet mind you have been seeking is found in the deep relief of letting go of your opinion. It is the final, unconditional surrender. It is the sky, which has no opinion about the weather. It is the river, which has no opinion about the objects it carries. It is the dreamer, awakened and watching the dream, knowing it is just a play of light and shadow, beyond good and bad. So, as you rest here now, on the edge of sleep, the final invitation is this: let go of your opinion. Let go of your opinion about whether your mind is busy or quiet tonight. Let go of your opinion about whether you are feeling relaxed enough. Let go of your opinion about whether you are doing this right. There is no right way. There is only being. Let everything be exactly as it is, without the tax of your judgment. If your mind is busy, let it be a busy mind. If your body is tense, let it be a tense body. If thoughts are racing, let them race. Cease to be the critic of your own experience. In this moment, do not try to fix or change or improve anything. Simply allow. This is the peace of no opinion. It is the end of all striving. When you have no opinion, there is no problem. When there is no problem, there is no need to fight. And when there is no fight, there is only peace. This peace is your true nature. It is the silent, benevolent awareness that has been here all along, patiently waiting for the war of opinions to end. Allow yourself to sink into this peace now. It is the bedrock of your being. It is the deep, dark, silent water beneath all the waves. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere else to go. The fight is over. Let go. Let go of it all. And rest. You are never at war with your thoughts, only with your opinion of them.